Hi, today I want to show you how you can connect your Toddle web application with the Hyperbolic AI API. And the cool thing about the Hyperbolic AI API is as of right now, it is free to use. And another cool thing about that is it offers us AI response streaming. So it's a large language model where we can send data to that is fully open, it is fully decentralized. So it's like open, it's the real open AI. It's fully decentralized. And the cool thing about that is it's going to send us that token, token by token back. So we get like the AI streaming. And today I want to show you how to set that up in Toddle. And I'm so sorry for wearing the Whist t-shirt. It's just I still love Whist, but I also love Toddle, and I think Whist and Toddle can coexist if you even consider that you can export the components you build in Toddle and import them into Whist like they're BFFs. I think they work great together, but now we're just going to build this in Toddle today. So let's get right started. And at the beginning, we just want to first of all start fully blank, so we just get everything out of the template here. And what I simply want to do is I want to add a div block that will be, the center of attention here. And let's give this a width of 30 rem. Oh, that is the wrong div block I'm adding the width to. I want to add the width, the div block I added in the middle, 30 rem. 30 rem. That's better. And 30 rem. I think that's a good starting point. Beautiful. And now we just want to give it like a nice background color. So why don't we give it like a gray 800? And let's do the border at 20 pixels. That looks beautiful. So now what I can do in here is I just want to add a form in it, so we can treat any AI question kind of like a form request, right? So I'm going to add my form in here, and I'm just going to give this like a width of 100%, a width of 100%, and a height of 100%. So I have my form in here. Beautiful. And what I want to do is just want to do like a simple example to just showcase AI streaming to you and how that can be accomplished in Toddle. And by the way, before I continue, big thank you to Chris. I think it was Chris. Yeah, I'm sure it was Chris. If not, I'm going to correct his name in the video description. But I'm 90% sure his name was Chris. He helped me so much, and his warm welcome in the Toddle community was just amazing, and he really helped me get started. So he's a sweetheart. He's amazing, and yeah, the Toddle community is very fortunate in having him in there, because he helps everyone, and he helps everyone succeed in all the things they do in Toddle. And thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Now in the form, we have to add some padding. So in Toddle, we just go to layout and we add 1 rem on the side, and then top to bottom 1 rem 2. So let's add that here, and now we got padding in here. So now I want to add a text area, just a simple text area that will be like the input field. And what I want to do is I want to go to attributes, and I think if I remember this right, I did is resize false. Or I think it was style resized false. Now I forgot the attribute naming convention, so we'll just keep this resizable for this video. I'm just going to go to background, and that background will be like, for example, 800. And what I can now do is I do borders 15 pixels, so I have a nice border. And actually, why don't we make this 0.5 rem, so it's closer, 0.5 rem. I think that looks more modern. And then in here, let's give this like 0.5 rem padding, 0.5 rem padding. Actually, let's do 1 rem because it's a text input. That makes it more accessible, I would say. Perfect. And then let's do a width of 100%. And I think that looks beautiful. I just don't like that little tick. So why don't we just move over to our friend ChatGPT and say, how do I make a text area not resizable, resizable in HTML inline styling attributes, because in Toddle the easiest way we can add those things is using inline attributes, and it's not resize none, it is style. It's a style attribute where I add the resize none value in it. So we're going to copy that real quick. Let's go back to Toddle. Oh, that's the wrong Toddle. Now we're back at Toddle. I'm going to go to my text field. I'm going to add a style attribute. I'm going to paste that in there, and that did the thing for us. Beautiful. So now we got rid of that. So we have that in here. I have my input. Ideally, we want the input down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my form a div block, and that will be the center of attention because that will be the chat right here. We have the div block. And let's just give this like a fictitious height of like minimum height 5 rem, so we have something to work with. I'm going to copy my text area just like that. I'm going to go to the form, paste it, so now it's under here. Now I can play with it. Now I'm just going to give this like a, I don't know, let's do like 20 rem. And what I'm going to do is for the div block where we have 30 rem, I'm just going to, you know, keep this set to auto. So now I have like my little AI chat in here. And, you know, let's also go back to the form and let's give this a gap. We do the gap right in here of like 1 rem. So they're like on 0.5 rem. So they're like separated a little bit from each other. And now I want to go to the background and I want to do this like a gray 900. So I have that in here. I want to have also 15 pixel rounded borders. I have that in here. And I now have a beautiful AI widget where my question goes in here. I'm going to click enter, or not enter, and we need to add an enter button because this is a text input field. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to propose we do, let's get rid of the J in here. And let's do it like, go to the, let's get the text area out of here. So we just copy the text area. We're going to go back to the form. I'm going to add a div under here. In that div I have added, I'm going to add my text area back. And now in the div, just like that, I'm going to make this relative. Oh, it's already relative. Beautiful. Now I'm going to add a button. And I'm going to go to the button. I'm going to make this absolute. And I want to align this to 0 on the bottom. Okay, perfect. Let's do a 0.5 rem on the bottom aligned. And on the top, on the right, I want to align this 0.5 rem. And now it is on the side right here. Now, what I want to make this look nicer, let's make a little bit more rounded corners. So let's do 15. Oh, that's a little bit too much. Let's try 7. 7 looks good, maybe. How about, let's zoom in a little bit because we want to have this look perfect because Toddle allows us a pixel perfect design experience. And then I want to get rid of those pseudo classes because I don't like them. So like there's nothing on hover, right? We want to have it a little bit more matured. Let's take this here. That looks beautiful. And we put in here, ask your AI. And I can do minus and it's greater than, and that will turn it like into a little arrow. And, you know, why don't we just make the weight a little bit thicker? And we are now able to ask AI in this widget. So now in this div block here, we need to have a response. And we're not going to render a list with multiple responses. We're going to do it very simple here because we just want to build a simple application to showcase the streaming capabilities and you know what that API can do. So in that div block, I want to add like a padding around it of, you know, 1 rem and 1 rem on both sides and top to bottom. And now in here, I'm just going to add a beautiful paragraph. And I want to go actually to the div and I want to make sure that the font is always white. I do that by going in here and just making it white. Here we go. And there we will have our response. Actually, maybe not white. Maybe a little bit grayish will look more professional. I think that looks even better. Let's try actually gray 300. Yeah, I think that looks very nice. That looks very beautiful. And in this div block now, I can make the text inside of it, a little bit thinner. If I now go to the text and make sure that the weight gets inherited, just like that. Actually, I want it a little bit thicker. Beautiful. That's perfect. So we got that working now. Now we want to make sure that this is rendered dynamically. So we need to tie this text to a variable. Because think of it like this. When we do an API call and send a question, that streaming API is going to send us one word, and then it's going to send us another word and another word. So we have word 1. But now we only have word 1. So we need to take word 1, and this is what's called in programming concatenate. We need to take word 1 and concatenate word 2, meaning you have this piece and you put this piece on it. So you have, hey, now I need to concatenate you. And then I have to concatenate exclamation point. And then after 3 concatenation, it says, hey, you. This is kind of like the principle I'm going for. So we're just going to click outside of the canvas here, and we go on variables. A variable is a type that lets us store data. So let's call this a response. And this will, response. And this will just be empty, an empty string. It will automatically add an empty string in there. Even if you remove it, it'll still have this count as an empty string. This is the nice thing about Toddle. It's hard to mess things up. So now we want to go to the text in here and double click. So we go to the place where we can actually edit the text, and I want to click on FX. And now I see the value in here. We don't want the value, so let's click on plus here, and let's go on response. Now the value that is set in here is based on the response, is based on the variable called response. So when I now set in here, hello, Mike, it's going to say hello, Mike, because this is tied to the variable. And if I'm going to say hello, Lucas, it's going to say hello, Lucas, because that's what the variable is saying. So the idea is that when the AI responds in chunks, piece by piece, we're going to add always a new piece of text to that variable. So because we have this function running in the background, always updating the variable, the text that is then linked to this variable then produces like this typing effect of streaming, because we get the response in multiple chunks. So let's just, start empty, because I would be disappointed if I just have like, hey, you, when I start that chat. Maybe we can add something, how may I be of service? Sounding like a robot. How may I be of service? How may I be of service? That's beautiful. Here we go. And then now, since we got the UI going, we want to get the UX going, where, we start adding functionality to it. And the easiest way we can do that in Toddle, already having a button here and, being able to submit a form, is using a custom action. And this is where I need ChatGPT a little bit, and I'm going to walk you through the Hyperbolic API. In case you don't know the Hyperbolic API, and this is not paid, I'm not affiliated with the company, even though the CEO is a very cool person, and he's very friendly, and he was friendly enough to get me started. Oh, I see they have animations on their side. I have to exit that because my MacBook Air is not handling that well while I'm recording. So in their dashboard, this is how their dashboard looks. You have all the open source AI models in here that are really meaningful and very powerful. And, let's just go with Llama 3 from Facebook. That is a cool one, and I can test them in here. It's fully free right now because they just launched, so they offer it for free to you, which is, use that as long as you can, because you can start a business around their API as long as it's free. Use it, and once you got that users and validated that idea, then you don't mind too much paying. And I just exposed my API key. I don't mind because it's free. And I don't have my credit card linked, so they're fools. So I have that in here, and I want to copy the curl command. Now, Normally, we would just put this on the back end and just call it a day, and we would put this in an environment variable and make sure it's secretive, it's secure. Now, when we want to do streaming in Toddle, we have to put this on the front end, which will expose our API key. Now, this is why I'm going to use Hyperbolic's API, because if that API key gets exposed, which it will, I don't really care, for the simple fact that it's free, right? And if I see there's unusual usage, I'll just roll over to a new key. And as of right now, it is free. So it's worth taking the risk because it's free. So this is what I also suggested a lot of my clients that I do consultations for. I was like, if you want really streaming in Toddle, just use Hyperbolic because it's free. No, it doesn't really matter if your API key gets exposed or not because it's free, and they make sure you have rate limiting as of right now. So with that being said, let's copy that. And we want to enable streaming. So let's go to our friend ChatGPT and let's ask it, I have this API and I want to stream the response. The response. Put the API in here using client side.js. And every time I get a new chunk sent back, I want to lock the whole text to the console. Now we need something where we can test that JavaScript, that code. And I'm sure that they are JavaScript test online where I can do that. If not, I'm just going to go to Wiz because they have a lot of code. JavaScript code playground. That looks good. Let's try that one. That looks fun. In your current. Okay. Let's see. Can I do something in here? One return 1 + 1. Does it do something, or do I have to go pro here? Let's see. There are probably other ones. JavaScript online compiler, JavaScript tester. Okay, that looks good. I can run that, and yes, this is what I need. So I can do return hello. Return hello. And if I run this, return hello. Interesting. I probably need to do this in the function. Evaluating your code. Oh, okay. It's probably already wrapping that in a return statement. So if I just write hello, yeah, it's already in a return statement, which is interesting. So why don't we just, go with the flow here? Beautiful. So we have that API in here. And ideally, we want to look what that streaming response looks like because, ChatGPT doesn't really know how this will work. So let's say I just need the JS because that's really what we want. Now, what will happen is we're going to get big objects sent back that are going to confuse our machine a little bit. But, because we don't really know how the response is coming from that API. But, one step at a time. So we're going, as you can see, we're going to lock that result, which we're going to end up with a lot of objects matched on each other. But one thing at a time, let's put the code in here. And, why don't we just open the console and see if we can work with that. Okay, let's close this and let's run this actually. And as you can see, I can run it in this little JavaScript tester. And I want to look at this data object because I only care about the content because as you can see, I get this thing. And let me actually move to a different, let me move to a JSON inspector here. So as you can see, I get like all this kind of different data that I don't really understand, and that's code, and we don't want to look at code. But I get this content property saying A, space A. this is a token. This is how AI generation works. The AI is not thinking about what it wants to say and then talking like a human. It's actually thinking as it talks, like probably most of the humans too, but that's a different story. There are also ones that think after they talk. Those are the I would consider myself one of that, but that's a different story for a different video. But here it goes. It produces a little bit of text, and that's what we call a token. It's H-A-L-L-O. That's the tokens for hello, right? It's saying one token, H. It's sending another token, E. Another token, L-L. Another token, O. And we need to put those tokens together to make it hello, so that the AI can communicate with humans. So, let's copy this. This is the data structure we're getting back. Let's go to ChatGPT and let's say I get this data structure in response. Now, it sends me a lot of other details, but I only need to get the content to make it a human sentence. Let's put this in here and let's do ChatGPT make its magic. Here we go. It's going to go through the whole process and on how we can do that. And we need to replace this in Toddle, but one step at a time. Let's put this in here. And this looks like, ChatGPT made us some nice code. Let's go back to our JavaScript executor. Let's clear our console. And let's run this. And now we see we get some sentence in here already, which is pretty cool. And we see it streams because we're concatenating the content. And now at the end, when it sends us the done message, as you can see, because they like to do that, they just sent you a done to stop the stream. We have not considered that in our code, so I'm just copying that. I'm going to say fix this. Paste. That's all I got to do, and AI will do the rest. This is why we are in the information age, and this is why we have ChatGPT. We came a long way from inventing the wheel to having robots do our work, and this is the beautiful possibility that this new time offers for us. And then we have Toddle for the other things that AI can't do yet. And let's put this in here. Let's clear the console and let's see what happens when I run this. And as you can see, it is streaming the content. Beautiful. I like it. And as you can see, this is a whole data stream that's going on. If my camera gets glitchy, just know that, okay, it still got final result, and some issues were occurring. Let's just copy. We just don't even care about the issue. We just copy the error and put it in ChatGPT and hope that the AI will figure out what's wrong with it, because it's way smarter than me trying to debug or figure out why it's doing it. I'm just going to put it in there and it will know. It's scraping Stack Overflow and there are a lot of resources. It will know what's wrong with it. You don't really have to explain it. ChatGPT will just know. So let's go back to our, there we have it. And let's remove the code and exit this and run the code again. And we have streaming going on. Look at that. This is what we call streaming. It's very cool. So, and the important thing is that we send each separately as a new event, because the way Toddle works, it works in context. So in order to update the variable, we have to send an event. So here we go. And this seems like this code is working. So what I now want to do is I want to go to Toddle, and I want to, prep for what is about to happen. And the way we're going to make this work in Toddle is using a custom action. So I'm going to go to my files in here, and I'm going to go to actions. I'm going to add an action, and I call this Hyperbolic Stream. I'm going to create this, and we're just going to dump our code in here. And now once we got it in here, we can work with it and we can figure out how to solve this. So API key, that is okay because it's free. We don't care. Now the content in here, we want to have this dynamic. For test purposes, since we don't want to hijack Toddle, we want to just say, how are you doing? And then we're going to make this native later on because it's going to give us a short response. Great if you work with chunks because you don't want to overload Toddle while testing. Then we have stream 2, you can change the model, but we'll just keep it for that. What I'm interested is in how we're going to return the certain amount of context, because you see when, where do we have it in the code? When we are logging the result, console log result, we want to not just do a console log, actually we don't want to do a console log, but what we want to do is we want to log the content, we want to send it back as an event in Toddle. So let's just give this some space because we don't really care about syntax. We just want to understand the code a little bit more, and that's the most important thing. So in here, where I do the console log, I'm going to log the result of each time I receive a piece of data from the Hyperbolic API. So what I want to do now is I want to go, and this is what we receive here, where we receive the pieces by piece. I want to do an event in Toddle, and I had to ask Toddle's API how to return event data, and it gave me this. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to explain to you, or try to explain to you, how Toddle works. Andreas, if you see this video, please correct me. I'm going to paste this in here. So the CTX, the context, we have that in here. We pass on arguments and context. Arguments is what is like the input of this formula, and context, CTX, is what is going out of the formula. So I have that in here. This is how I'm going to return that action event, to return that data. Now I need to have an event name. So let's create a new event in here, and let's call this result. Actually, let's call this result, or let's call this stream. Let's call this stream. Let's copy this, and let's actually edit this in here, and I want to return the stream event. Now I have stream in here, and I'm going to look into this event. Now the example output, let's do hey, because this could be a chunk that we're returning. And the data will need to be mapped to result, because as you can see, we are console logging the result. And if I go back here, we see this is result. Yes, I want this on my site, so let's dump this in here. And we're going to go back to Toddle, and I'm going to copy this value that we call result, that is so precious to us, and I'm going to paste this in here. And then this is how we're going to update the result. So this should be it. When I have my result event, we are then going to do that. I don't think we need to log any stop unless we want to play any confetti, which we can certainly do. So let's call this event done, and it would return something like true, right? Or we don't even need to return any data, but that's a different story. So I can just copy this here, boom, and when it is done, this is representing done, otherwise we wouldn't get final result. And we also have stream successful, so we can also go in here where it does streaming completed, and this is the part of the code that will, or one of the parts of the code, because final result is doing something similar, but this is the part of the code where we want to then return that we are done. So I'm just going to put in done. This is then targeting this to the done event, and I'm just going to return true, for example. We can do that. We don't even need to return anything, but just to get the hang of it, we can do something like that. And then if we go back to our JavaScript and try to understand, when we get the final result, that will also be something that we probably want to listen for, depending on how the code is written. When I scroll down, I see streaming completed, and this part will be probably the final result that it returned, even though it didn't log it. So let's just ignore this, and then we'll see if something is missing in the text, maybe like a period or something. But, you know, let's just take the code as it is. Okay, let's do a nice formatting here. And then now we want arguments passed on, but we don't want to do that yet, or why not? Why not? Why don't we just go now to the content and add an argument? So the arguments, we're going to get them using args, and then I do dot message, for example. I can copy this, and the argument is like an input. I'm just going to paste that in here, so it's linked in here. This is type string, meaning text. So this is the argument, is the input. This is what's going into my AI, and then what's coming out are the events, and we can trigger them using the CTX trigger action event, and then we have to log them to the name, and then we can return a value in here. And now that is it. That was all the code we had to do. I'm sorry for having a little bit of code in here, but this is why the channel is called NoCode Pro Code, because we're going to build exciting stuff by adding a little bit of code, like a little bit of salt to get a final touch, so that as a no-code professional, you can stand out from the competition, because you are offering a more holistic solution to people's technological needs, which is very important if you want to stand out in that, you know, in that current space that we're in. Now, the cool thing is we have our variable, and the only thing that we really want to do is, you know, when that action runs, we get events. Every time we get events, we want to do things. So let's see if my theory works. We may have to tweak a little bit around with something. So on button, I can do form submit. And actually, the way I like to test that before we continue is I'm just going to install the confetti package. And let's just install the confetti package in Toddle. Boom, we got confetti. And now I'm just going to go to my form on here, and I'm going to make an event, and I'm going to go on submit. This is on forms, submit. I already want prevent default, so that's nice. And I want to play some confetti. Here we go. So let's try click on here. Okay, so this is triggering the form submit. Now I know this is working. So now I go back to the form, and I'm going to submit, and I kill the confetti, but I'm going to go to my hyperbolic stream. So every time, and the message will be, let's just hard code it, how are you today? Look at that. We can make it dynamic later on. And now I have my stream. So every time I get a stream piece of data sent back, I want to set the response variable to that piece of stream data, and we see it's already linked with the example, so it's already based on the event data that we get. That is what we want to do. So let's go on done, and let's go on done too, and let's try if this works. And as you can see, we're streaming the data from the Hyperbolic API in real time. So now it's not linked to the input yet. So the way we link that to the input is we're going to create a new variable on our page called input, for example. Just like that, or let's make it more descriptive, message. Here we go. And that message, you know, will start with an empty string. So we have our message, and I'm simply going to go to the text area here, and I'm going to bind this to the variable message. So now every time I type in hello, it's me, and now I go back to the page data, to the message, it will say hello, it's me, because it's binded to the variable. Now, the moment the input is binded to the variable, when we go back to our action that is on form submit, and that is over here, on form submit, instead of having my value hard-coded, I'm just going to click on FX, and I'm going to go to my variables on message, and as you can see, the input, hello, it's me, it's then synced with the variable, and since it is synced with the variable, it's accessible for me when I do the call to Hyperbolic. And I'm going to close this here, and now let's see if this works. When I say, what is 1 plus 1? And I'm going to send this, it should be saying, as an easy, okay, maybe, let's see, 1 plus 1 equals 2. What? Okay, maybe, since we concatenate things, maybe we messed up a little bit by, you know, trying multiple things on one page. Let's give this a fair shot and reload, and then let's troubleshoot in case we need something to be troubleshooted. So let's say, what's 1 plus 1. And let's ask AI equals 2. Now that is interesting. So we don't seem to get all the chunks maybe. That is interesting. Let's ask, how are you? Okay, so we don't seem to get the first one, which I think is very interesting. That is very interesting. So let's see, how can we troubleshoot that? And the way we want to troubleshoot this now, but we're very close. We got streaming working. Let's go to the console and let's try to figure out how this can be helpful to us here. So, let's go back to debugging mode and let's ask this question again. Okay, and we see we from the beginning we're not getting the first chunk recognized. We're not looking at the first chunk. So this is very interesting, and that may be an issue because let's clear the console and give it a fair shot again. Okay, I know you don't like me. Okay, let's run this again. Maybe we have some issue with white spacing. So let's copy this part and let's go back to ChatGPT and let's say I updated the code. I want you to keep the CTX ones because that is working with the framework I use, but the issue now is that the first character is being cut off, as you can see in the console. Here is the full code that I optimized for the Toddle framework I use. And now let's go back to Toddle and let's give OpenAI the full context of all the things that we're doing. Grammar doesn't matter. I cannot see what I'm typing on ChatGPT anyway, because, like where ChatGPT has their bar, it's exactly where my recording bar is over and I can't move it. So sorry for any typos. I know better and I know that I'm doing it wrong, but just bear with me. And let's copy that piece of code. We don't need to get the lower part and the upper part. That doesn't matter. That will just confuse ChatGPT. We just need the core of it that we put in it. And let's go to ChatGPT and let's paste that in here. Let's send that back, and then let's see how we can solve this with the magical help of our AI friend. So I have a really good feeling about this. So let's wait. It's going to give us cool stuff. And now I want to copy that. Let's see if we still have the CTX stuff. Yes, we still have that. I really like that. Beautiful. So let's copy this. And let's go back to our code in here. And we'll just cut that part out. And I'm going to paste this in. And let's go back. We don't need to save anything. It's automatically saved. And let's play and let's say, how are you? And let's ask AI. And as you can see, it is going to stream immediately in real time the response. And it looks like we got the first character. What's 1 plus 1? And let's ask our AI. It says 1 plus 1 is 2. Isn't that beautiful? We just built AI streaming in Toddle. And it works in real time, and it's free. And I can say, who is the president of the US? Who is the president of the United States? And it's going to say, I have a knowledge cutoff, but right now, as far as I know, it's Joe Biden. And that's true. Beautiful. So, and I can say, what are you? And in real time, we get the response, as you can see, incredibly fast. And look at that, it's even going to grow beautifully. Now, one thing I want to look into, and the cool thing is I can work with the data in Toddle because they have a nice way how it integrated. Now I want to go to this, where we have the response. And, I want to make sure that I have a maximum height of like 25 rem or something, or let's do 30 rem. 30 rem, so that it will grow a little bit, but it will not be growing too much. And then I want to make sure that when I go to layout, I have overflow scroll, so that when it gives me a whole poem, let's say write a poem, and I ask AI and it starts writing, it expands at a certain amount, and then write a long poem, please. I need this for illustration purposes. And then, as you can see, it will continue, and I will be able to scroll in here, which is very cool. Now you can even add more custom JavaScript code to automatically scroll down. I'm not going to do that for this video. This is just illustrating the possibilities of streaming that you can implement inside of Toddle. I never implemented streaming inside of Toddle. This is my first attempt in this video. But the cool thing about Toddle is, since it is so natural to use, it's so intuitive to use, I know I'm just going to put my computer anywhere, and I'm just going to open ChatGPT. I have my good old JavaScript test editor and console, and I spend half an hour, and I got anything I want working in Toddle. And imagine how long would this take building this in another tool. Like, this would take way longer because you're adding more complexity to it. Toddle makes it very easy the way they handle events, they handle input and output in a non-codish way, even though you're using code, but you're simplifying the code with a non-codish way. And I can reuse the thing that I did here now just by using a block on a submit, just like that, which is very cool and very powerful. I think Toddle is really revolutionizing the way we think about front-end and the way we use front-ends. Right now, I think it's the best web app front-end tool out there. Maybe something else will come better, but as of right now, Toddle is the best on the market, and it's great for mobile apps because, as you can see, you can make it fully responsive. I didn't make a good attempt on making it responsive because I just illustrated it for a video, but you can also work on making it responsive, and it's also now working on the live site in production. As you can say, who are you? Probably the most profound question that there ever is. And it was going to respond to the question who it is. And isn't that cool? And we have that all streaming in real time with a free-to-use API in Toddle. We built it in less than an hour, and we have a very cool AI assistant that streams in, as you see, in real time. Very cool. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support, all your feedback, all your wonderful comments, just everything. Just thank you so much for everything. And I also have good news for you, because I've been working the last, I don't know, like more than 6 months on a tool that will help you build mobile apps out of the web apps. You don't need to learn Flutterflow. You don't need to learn any mobile framework. You build your web app in Toddle, in Whist, in Webflow, in WeWeb, in anything. Ideally Toddle, because I now love Toddle, but that may change, but I probably will not. And you just convert it into a mobile app with Face ID, with Touch ID, with everything native, and it will be a real mobile app. It's not like a wrapper or something. It's a real mobile app, and you can even addition the Swift code or the Kotlin code if you want. It's very cool. I'm going to give you more updates on that soon. We're going to launch next week, which is a very cool thing. And I mean, I can even see this be a mobile app, and be very nice on the App Store if you niche it down, like make this personal fitness coach AI, build that in Toddle, put it on the App Store. And right now, this API from Hyperbolic is not costing you anything, so you can really use the benefit that it is free and that you can do something very fast with it in Toddle, and potentially then use my tool Despia to make a mobile app out of it to get some traction on the App Store with the AI waves that, are still there and occasionally expand about certain topics. I'll be also making an AI video generator like Sora as a mobile app using Toddle and Despia, and that video will come out probably in 2 weeks. I'm also going to take on Suno and Udio, and I'm going to make an alternative for that, and I'm going to show you step by step how I did it. And there will be also a template for Toddle. I'll think it will be a paid template, but it will be very cheap, like $99, and you can make your own Suno in Toddle and get it on the App Store with a little template. Let me know if you like those things. Thank you so much for watching. I have exciting things ahead of you because Toddle has a great way of how they let you clone things and, do all of that kind of stuff. And, I'm excited about building a lot of AI stuff now in Toddle because that's what makes me happy. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support, all your help, all your wonderful feedback. Just let me know if you have any questions, if you need any help with anything. I'm here day and night to help you. And, thank you so much for all your support. Again, I'm really thankful for everything, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.